Like the Stroke of Genius podcast survivor experience. I have got an extremely interesting guest. He has what they call a brainstem stroke, and was locked in. Her name is Kate Allatt. And so you guys, this is amazing. You're about to meet someone that had a brainstem stroke, one of the worst strokes you can have, fully locked in, could just absolutely paralyzed. Now she's being in the movement. So let's get right into it. Welcome to Stroke of Genius podcast survivor experience, where I believe mindset is the foundation of your recovery. I'm your host, Aaron Avila, a 13-year post-survivor of a brain aneurysm and stroke. Join me now as I share survivor stories of resilience and triumph around the globe. So without further ado, let's get to it. Well, good morning, Kate. Well, it's morning here. I don't know where you're located. Where introduce
And
you.
hello, everybody. I'm Kate Allatt, and I'm on here from Sheffield in the UK, right near the Peak District. So thanks for having me, Aaron. It's great to be here.
Kate, we've known each other. You've been here longer than I've been here. I think I've met you since I started 10 years ago plus. So, well, it's great to have you. Thank you.
Well, it's brilliant. I think if I you listen to me today in this chat we're having and take away that that anything's possible with the right mindset, I think then that's been a worthwhile half an hour listening to me witter on. I think it's tough out there having a stroke, but it's about accepting who you are and what you can do after it and what you learn about yourself actually. So and what I learned in order to rehabilitate could help a lot of you.
Yeah, we're
I hope.
talking agreement. I was so excited as time you had to record the podcast. So I'm really glad you chose to do it. So let me ask some basic questions. Did you
Hmm.
have any warning signs before you had your stroke?
Okay, 2 weeks before I had a headache that was just irritating me, and it became a lot stronger. And then 12 hours before my stroke, the headache was like wasn't didn't feel painful inside my head. You can't feel pain in your head, but there felt like a pneumatic drill was going off in it. And I think that was the point at which my basilar artery ruptured with a huge clot, and that's when I had the stroke. But that was 12 hours after I'd just done a 2 hour run round Chatsworth House, which is a lovely old stately home in the UK. But I had a headache, which I ignored because I was too busy to be ill. I've got three
Right.
young children, 4, 8, and 10. So I ignored it to my peril. But then I was misdiagnosed when I went to hospital. They said I just got stressed. Go home with cocodamol. 4 hours later, I collapsed with a brainstem stroke with locked-in syndrome.
Yeah, at one time I had a brainstem stroke, one of the worst strokes a person can have. I mean, that's a cerebellum brainstem, but it's a bad one. But you were locked in. You were actually
Mhm.
totally paralyzed. Could you move your eyes? I take it.
Yeah, okay. When I went back to hospital after being misdiagnosed, I was put on life support, 39. 3 days afterwards, the doctors assembled my family to turn off my machine. My ex-husband decided not to because not that he loved me, because the kids needed me because I was the hands-on mum. So I had a stay of execution because I wasn't going to get any quality of life according to the doctors. So when I woke up, they thought I was vegetative, but I wasn't. I was completely locked in. So I could think, feel, see, hear everything, assuming my head was pointed to the right direction. but move absolutely nothing below my eyes.
My God.
So imagine being buried alive. That's how it feels.
Oh,
That's
I've
how it
never
felt.
heard that, but I can see that can be for similar called Buried Alive. There's a book title in there somewhere, but if you don't want to write a book, that'd be one to write. Anyway, but Kira, we were talking in the green room before this podcast about how you got yourself a wanton stranger syndrome to moving now. You almost have you move your hand, foot to hand. How'd you do it? Tell me a little bit about
No,
what you.
okay. It was very early on that I was written off and that there was never going to improve. And that they were making a case for me to go to a nursing home to dribble my days out. I got 3 kids who were 4, 8, and 10. And I had so much fight and determination because I was a 70-mile-a-week fell runner before that. So I was fit, I was healthy. It wasn't genetic, my stroke, it was pure stress. But the need to be home with my dependent children, maternal need, was so strong. The motivation was enormous. I had a set of luck. I had a bit of luck, obviously, but I had a mindset that was willing to work bloody hard, frankly, excuse my French, because I knew I always had to work hard. And I also had a chip on my shoulder that someone said you can't do something. I'd be like, what? So those things and the young kids and the fitness all helped me, because what I would do is I'd look at parts of my body that I could see, like my thumb. This was the first thing that moved. And I used to sit in my bed, which was my bathroom, my lounge, my toilet, because I'm a shower. Um, and I'd just look at my thumb, and in my head I'd be having an argument, going, "Move, damn you! Just bloody well move."
Oh my God.
And do you know what? After 2 weeks or so of doing this, I got a flicker. I only got 2. And then I thought, bloody hell, have I just imagined that? Because if you're in a desert and you think water's there and it's not, it's a mirage. Because I wanted it so badly. And then it fatigued. And then I tried to do it again and nothing happened. I waited 20 minutes and I got 3 flickers. And from that thumb, that was the only thing that moved after 8 weeks of total body paralysis. I then started the process over the next few months, engaging all my body. And how did I do it? It was repetitive, frequent, intensive movements. And I called it willing in my book, Running Free. It's on Amazon, by the way. And it's now 13 years old, and I'm so proud of it. But willing relates to repetitive, frequent, intensive movements. I was doing it all day, every day. Once I got more flickers, it was about the range. And then as I got more range, this finger started flickering. And I thought, wow, I can start on that now. Then I'd try and move it a bit more. And then I got more range. This finger started flickering. And then I worked on my wrist, the rotation, my arm, my elbow. Arm's very heavy, by the way. Your legs, your ankles, your diaphragm, your lips, your tongue, everything had become paralyzed. I had to relearn, and this is called rewiring the brain. I had to rewire the brain, the neuroplasticity effect. And it took a long time, but I was very driven by my children, being reunited with them, and very driven every time I saw improvements. There were some days where things didn't happen and I went backwards, but that motivated me when I got the improvements to keep going and trying and trying and trying and trying. But it wasn't like that, the rehab journey. It was gains, losses, up and down. And I think it's really important that I say something here. Nelson Mandela said, he never loses. He wins or learns. In hospital, I used to think every time I had a bad day and it went Pete Tong pear shape, that I might as well give up. That those weren't fails as I thought then. They were there to teach me something. And what I learned, for example, the first time I fell over in the shower, trying to have a shower on my own rather than be showered, I fell over because I got no core stability. And I learned from that. I was too early to really try it, but I had to push myself to have the shower cream a bit closer so I didn't lean over so much. So I fell over in the shower as I had my first independent shower, but I learned from it. It wasn't a fail. I learned stand a bit closer to the shower and the shampoo, the shower cream and the shampoo. So that's a really important thing to take really, is that you're not failing at anything. What you're doing is learning.
That's really something I think I really want everybody out there to realize. You are not failing, you're learning. And I think it's true for business, but it really is true for there are also stroke survivors and I'm rebuilding your life after stroke. And that is stop beating yourself up. Start right.
Oh,
Don't we do that? Wait, I do that. I'm guilty of a beat the weight of myself. You
yeah,
can,
you would never talk to a friend the way we talk to ourselves in our head. The guilt, which is unnecessary. We have trauma. Our families and our loved ones experience trauma because of the trauma we weren't not responsible for, but we are responsible for how we heal, whether it's physically or emotionally. But we're not responsible for our traumas. The guilt and the shame that is the scourge, I think, of anybody who's put their family or loved ones out because of an illness they never chose to have, is phenomenal. So we need to start thinking this is not our fault. We didn't bring this on anybody or ourselves. We've nothing to feel guilty about, but we are responsible for how we heal.
wow, that's powerful. That is really powerful. Kate, I mean, with me, I heard you right in the very beginning. Attitude, mindset. You heard my intro. I am really believe, and I strong believe with you. The mindset is everything. In stroke rehabilitation, stroke, I call it rebuilding. But because I really think you don't recover from stroke, you build from your life after stroke. But I think your mindset. Now, how did you said you always at that part. How did you cope with those days where you weren't feeling all that great? Where you feeling like you weren't moving forward? How did you
Well,
cope with
just let me pick up on your mindset, and this is a very important point. Growth mindset is something that the theory, the researchers, and they put a label on it. But I could tell you what mindset is, and the positive mindset is an I can mindset. It's very easy to think after stroke, you lose your marriage, you lose your family, you lose your career, you lose your ability to run long distances, you lose friendships, you lose your physical health, you lose emotional health. But the thing is, what we have to all focus on, whether you've had a stroke or a life changing event or other, is not what everybody else is doing. It's not what you can't do. It's what you can do. And I'm going to tell you and ask me the question again in a minute, but I think this is so important. I watched a lady who was a thalidomide and she had only got 1 foot, no arms, 1 foot. That was it. She epitomized the can do mindset. Because do you know what that woman with that 1 foot did? She was an amazing foot artist. So she hadn't got 3 limbs, but she had got one. And with that, she tried to do something and be good at it. And what she tried to do, she was excellent at it. Um, become a foot artist. And she, to me, epitomizes the can do. Forget your life before. This is a new reset. This is a new normal. It's about focusing on what you can do now. And there's an awful lot you can do, but once you get your head around that, I think it's a lot easier. Sorry, Aaron, I've had a stroke. Remind me again of the question that you just said. I think the mindset thing was really important for me to say. Sorry.
Well, I think for me it was the way you look at like you just said earlier, you cannot do anything about what happened to you, but you can do about how you respond.
Yeah,
and you can
exactly.
respond with a positive mindset. And, I see so many stories that are stuck. And I realize after I was talking to you, and I realized over my period of time I've been doing this, there is a crossing point, a crossover point, where you go from stroke victim to stroke thriver. And, it just comes into that mindset that you have.
Yeah, and I think what you did ask me before, it came to me, and I think that I hate the word victim. It's survivor always for me, and then it's thriver. And how did you go from being a just survivor? It's never a victim because we're not victims. It's about going from that to thriving. And you asked me earlier, because I remember now, what did I do on days where I don't feel like pushing the envelope, where I don't feel like trying to get my shoes tied up or trying to make my own dinner or whatever it is, or showering myself. And frankly, you get tired, fatigued, knackered from having to push just to try and level up. And it is hard work. But when those days where you're feeling you've nothing left in the tank, you've exhausted yourself physically, emotionally, in every other way, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to sit and just be under the duvet all day and watch Netflix. It's okay to sit and journal and think of ways that will help calm your nervous system because you might be feeling anxious. And there's millions of free things you can do to help you stay calm and not let your anxiety escalate. I've had to do it. Um, and, belly laughing is one thing, deep breathing, we all know about that. Drinking lemon water before you have your coffee in the morning. This having a hug, and if you haven't got anyone who can give you a 20-second hug, go hug a tree. I have to, I'm single. But there are so many things. I haven't got time to go into them. But on those days where you feel you've just run out of steam and you've had enough and you're feeling fed up, I'd be polite. It's okay to do absolutely nothing. It's okay. And in fact, I firmly believe we have to have days like that. You just don't want those days to end up being 2 or 3 or 4 days long, or even weeks long or months long, because then you get in a rut. Let the day happen, maybe 2 days, but then try and start again.
That is really great advice because a lot of us have a self imposed guilt, shame, and guilt about having those days. I even have those days. I do a lot, and I still have days. I just had one yesterday, I think, where I just laid in bed to watch TV and then felt motivated at all much to do anything. But I
And it's
think,
absolutely okay. It's okay to do that.
yeah, it's okay. We're Kate and I are telling you, stroke survivor. It's okay. Understand. It's even okay to be a stroke survivor. Just there are times I survived for the first 3 years of my stroke, but I began to realize I could do more. And you went from locked in, couldn't move a thing, to where you had
Yeah,
to.
and I think what I did as a result of my rehab by setting up a charity within 3 months of leaving hospital, I was there for 10 months. The global charity, to my book, to my seeing the Queen, to doing my research. Those things all helped me deal with my PTSD that was undiagnosed and unsupported. Because the more I gave to people, the more I healed. But became a point that I needed to give to heal, which is not good. Um, so, and in amongst all that challenging, pioneering stuff I've done, I had plenty of days where I just shut the door and just said, "Do you know, world, I don't want to see you anymore." And I did have shame and guilt when I start to think too much about what my family's gone through and feeling it was all down to me. It wasn't. I was actually ill because I was doing too much for my family, but that's not how people see it. Um, but it's okay to love yourself. It's okay to feel, and it's right to feel worth it, and it's right to not feel invisible, like I spent so much of my marriage feeling invisible and emotionally abused. And I think it's okay just to say stop.
And,
And do you know, Maya Angelou said something, and it resonates with me, because when you're a stroke survivor, you can feel like a failure. You can feel like everybody else's lives are all exciting and yours is just dull. Um, and she said something that she said a lot of things that I really like, but one thing that stuck in my head: society makes you believe that success is all about your earnings, the money in the bank, the holidays you have, the cars you drive, the trappings, the designer gear, the job titles. No, success is liking who you are, liking how you are, and what you do. That's not quite the full quote, but it's that essentially. It's actually saying I'm successful because I like who I am, I like what I do, and I like how I do it. And that's it. If you can, and I do genuinely believe that we need to stop thinking about all the material shit out there, because you can't take it with you. And actually, just because someone's got billions in the bank doesn't make them a nicer person than me. Just makes them a little bit more. They've had a bit of a silver spoon, perhaps, or they've had a bit of luck in their lives. But I'm just as valid. I'm just as worthwhile with my limp and my funny voice. And actually, I feel okay with me, and I feel okay with what I do and how I do it. And that is what Maya Angelou says success is.
wow, that really is inspirational because I think, what, we talked about the agreement and we're down, time goes by when you're having fun and the boy. But I wanted to ask you one thing. Were you motivation? You said you focused on something that motivated you, gave you motivation. I think it's critical each one of us, including me, find something that motivates us. And what motivated you to get better?
Well, do you know the key to motivation is dead simple? It's not rocket science. The key to motivation is find what matters to you. Then, if you try hard, that's what my achieving myth is. The M is it's got to matter. The Y, it's got to matter to you. And then you've got to try hard, TH. And that is true. And you'll fail, but they're not failings, they're learnings. So the key to motivation is find what matters to you. If it's running again, like it was for me, if it's hugging your kids again and being a mum, like it was for me, it might be knitting your grandchild a top because you used to be a knitter. It might be walking to the school to pick the grandchildren up, or hugging your kids. Whatever it is that matters to you, maybe playing around in your shed or holding a pint down the pub. Whatever it is, the key to motivation is unlocking what matters to you. And in the art of the people that support us is asking you the questions to help understand that, because you might not be able to understand what it is that matters to you, what it is that's going to make you try harder to improve, because you want to achieve what matters to you in the future. So it really is that simple. It's what matters to you.
Yeah, Kate, I mean, really, if it's one challenge I want to lay down for all survivors out there, find that thing that will motivate you to make a change. For me, it's my wife. For you as your children, your mother. I mean, that's every no strong and paternal instinct is of a mother. So our challenge today, Kate and I challenge for you, survivor, find that one thing that'll get you, that will motivate you, that gives you a reason to go from survivor to thrive.
It's the reason to get up in the morning, gives you a reason to keep pushing those bloody boring exercises that, frankly, I still have to do 14 years on just to stay where I'm at. Because COVID sent my rehab way back, because we couldn't get to the gym and do things. So you've got to keep 14 years. It's tough to keep having to do it. You think, really, do I have to? But if I don't, I limp more. So, I do have to. And then if I limp more, I've got a chance of falling over more. And that's dangerous as I'm getting older because, I might not bounce so much when I get a bit older. So it's really that key. You've got to find what matters to you because it is a slog and it's hard work and you've got to invest in it. Because if you want to improve, if you're not bothered about improving, that's different. But if you want to improve and find your new normal, you've got to embrace this, but you've also got to give yourself time and not shame yourself or guilt trip yourself that you've done this, because that can be overwhelming. And look into all the stuff you can do 100% free that will help you, keep you in a calm, your nervous state in a calm state. And that's called a parasympathetic state. And look it up. But there's so much you can do to keep you emotionally healthy rather than reach for a glass of wine or the cigarettes or the vapes or whatever else. Basically the unhealthy ways to cope with stress in our life. There are so many healthy ways to cope with anxiety, stress, guilt, depression, PTSD out there. And for me, learning those things as I've come through my divorce and have come out the other end has been phenomenally helpful for me so that I'm not stuck anymore in this feeling like I do really well. Then I feel angry that everybody I know is all their lives are taken off and my life seems to have gone backwards. Because at the end of the day, I'm proud of what I've done to rehabilitate. I'm proud of what I've done to help people for the last 13 years be better and save lives and improve lives. And my life's made a difference. And actually, can I say that about a lot of my friends? They might have a bigger bank balance than me, but it's all about the relationships and the things and our impact and making a difference. And for me, I've got those experiences and I'm very proud actually that I was able to do that. And I never want my stroke again, let's be honest. But I'm proud of the way I've responded to it.
Well, I'm
My
proud
only
of you.
goal now,
I'm proud of you too. I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty proud of your stories.
thank you.
Definitely
But
proud.
can I just share with you my only goal now?
Please.
If you were going to ask me what's the meaning of life, I think it's three things. One, I'm on this planet to make a difference in the world. Tick, I've done that. Number two, to have lots of laughter along the way. I do that. That's my personality. I laugh a lot. I use humor to cope. Number three is collect memories with the people who love me. That is the last remaining goal. I'm trying in my 50s to focus on not being the mum, not being the wife, not being the global stroke advocate, but I'm just trying to find some memories that I can cling to, because at the end of the day, that's all we have, and I feel that's really my only goal now is to start building my database of lots of memories with people who love me.
Kate, well, boy, we're the podcast time is pretty much over. I'm gonna have you on again because there's so much more that you and I could talk about mindset, about attitude, about focus on what you can do now, what you can't do. So I'm gonna have you back on probably in another month or so. But I want to thank you for being here. And I want to thank you for taking the time to share your story with us. Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure, Erin. And let me know when it's available to listen to, and I'll be interested to share it around. And hopefully, some of the messages in there will really resonate and help people think a bit differently. We are very resilient after stroke, and that's a big thing, and that's a massive positive from the stroke. Really, is that we bounce back fitter and stronger to crap in our lives because we've been through enormous enormous change and difficulties. So, we are more equipped than a lot of people because of what we've been through. So
Yeah, that old saying, it doesn't kill you, will make you stronger. It's true. Still doesn't kill you, guess what? You have a purpose, and it will make you stronger. Kate, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
no worries. You take it easy. See you
All right,
later.
bye. Bye.